Hello, I'm Natasha Chilingarian.
And I'm Michael Ogden. This is Shared Accounts with CU Times. The week this episode comes out will be Election Day, and then Natasha and I will be traveling down to Orlando, Florida for the CU Times Luminaries Awards. Those events have nothing in common because we know the Luminaries results are final and trusted. Anyway, we're going to be hosting some breakout sessions down there, and then we're co-hosting the night's big gala event where we have to weirdly shower and dress up, and we'll
Oh,
hand out a bunch of awards with a bunch of surprises that we will never talk about publicly beyond the event because it's kind of a secret. If you're not there, you missed it. Having said that, Natasha, when
yes,
people listen to this, we will actually probably already be back home from the event.
right.
So I want to ask, how did future us do?
Oh, we did great. Yeah, I'm,
Oh,
I'm going to say we did wonderful. We had a perfect night's sleep the night before. That's always the thing I worry about with like a big event.
right.
We're going to be awesome. Come on, who are you kidding?
I'm so glad we did well.
We sure did.
We must have had a really good time and had some cocktails.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, I think we did fabulous. That's what we're going to have in our mind.
Okay.
Manifestation.
Manifestation. Thank you. I needed that pep talk because future me is stressed. Anyway, let's get on with the show. Welcome to Shared Accounts with CU Times. Coming up, we're talking with Kevin Wright, Chief Information Officer for Addition Financial Credit Union in the Orlando, Florida area. Hey, we're going to be down there. Kevin joins us for a tech talk, AI, digital transformation, a big digital banking overhaul that he went through, and more. Stay tuned for our Kevin's Corner. First up, let's take a break from the week. Check in with Natasha. Hey, Ann,
Hey, Em.
how you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, so I was going to mention so this is actually the first podcast that I'm recording in my new house. I moved
Oh,
houses
that's
this
right.
past weekend. Yeah.
How is it?
Oh, I love it. We were in a much smaller cabin
Mm-hmm.
in the town of Crestline
Okay.
in the San Bernardino Mountains. So this one is also in the mountains. It is over in Lake Arrowhead, which is a different
Yeah.
town. And it's actually a house that we stayed in twice before in the past. It was an
Oh,
Airbnb
right.
listing. Yeah. So we stayed for like a longer term, it wasn't like a weekend, it was like a month or
Mm-hmm.
two at a time. And we kind of got to know the owners. They actually live out in New Orleans and
Oh,
they were looking for tenants for do a 6 month to a year lease. And so we went ahead
yeah.
and signed a 6-month lease. So yeah, we're very
Great.
happy. It is wonderful. I will also say it's one of the best houses I've ever lived in for wildlife spotting.
Oh, okay.
Excited about that. So far we had a deer come like
Okay.
very close.
Nice.
Yeah, we've seen like in the past, we've had bears come up to the
Mm-hmm.
window and coyotes and
Yeah.
lots of squirrels and birds, of course, too. So,
Yeah. We're in the time of year where I am up in the Midwest where deers are kind of getting ready for winter. And so they're getting hit by traffic a lot.
oh,
They're crossing the highways and whatever. In the last week, I have almost hit 3 deers just in a neighborhood area.
wow. Oh my
I've almost
gosh.
hit 3 deer and one possum.
Oh boy.
The wildlife's going nuts. They know winter is about here.
Wow, wow. So do you see actually like dead deer lying in the street then that people have
There's
hit? Like, is that a common thing?
a block away from me in the neighborhood, there was a dead deer just dead on the sidewalk.
Yeah, that makes me sad. It makes me think of
Yeah.
like the movie Bambi or something.
Ooh, let's talk about movies then.
And oh
What'd
yes,
you watch this past week?
what I've been watching now is the 90 Day Fiance, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Also been watching The Golden Bachelorette.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun. But there was one movie, so it's spooky season right now, so I have some
Yeah.
spooky movies on the list. So I watched the third part in this horror trilogy, Maxine.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that was my movie last weekend.
Let's stop there very quickly. You and I
Okay.
both watched it on the same weekend.
Oh wow. Okay.
So what did you think?
It definitely was not as good as the first two. I definitely prefer the first two as like a horror movie, but
Yeah.
it was still really fun. It was a fun watch just with the whole vibe of the 80s in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some fun moments that were interesting, like, there was this part, this guy gets squashed, like, from, like, a car compressor thing, like a
Oh, sure, sure, sure. I thought you were gonna talk about another squashing, and I was like, "I don't know if we can talk about that."
yeah, I don't think we should talk about that, but no, the thing is that the girl, the main character, when she's killed other people in the
Yep.
past in these movies, she's squashed them either with her foot, their head
Mhm.
just completely squashed, or other body parts, and this
Yeah.
time it was like the whole person in a whole car got squashed, and it was like,
Yeah,
"Well, this
yeah.
is all leading up to the big squash," is what
The big
I know it's
squash.
gross, but
It is.
anyway. So what did you think of it?
Similarly, I like the first 2 a bit better, but
Mhm.
I was fine that it's over now, at least I kinda hope it is, but, it wasn't terrible, but honestly, it was more like a giallo Italian
Right,
horror
that's what
thriller in a lot
yeah.
of elements of it. The ending was so boring.
Yeah, I got a little confused by the end,
Yeah.
honestly.
But also, I watched one other thing I
Oh,
wanted
okay.
to point out. It's a movie, I believe it's on Netflix? Yes. It's called What's Inside. Have you heard
Oh,
of this
yes,
one?
that is on my list. That's I'm gonna be watching that next, either that one or The Woman of the Hour with Anna Kendrick.
Oh, yeah, that's on too. See, a lot of great movies are out, folks.
I know, it's exciting. I know.
It's What's Inside. It was okay. I think it's for a very specific and younger generation, but the dialogue was actually pretty slick. It's a little confusing, which is also fun, and you will see what I'm talking about when you watch it, but it's a really fun concept.
Yeah, don't they, like, turn into other people? Like, they start
It,
acting
it's
like
like body swapping,
but okay,
basically.
yeah, that's what I thought was I was fascinated by that
It was fun.
concept.
It wasn't bad. It could have been a lot better, but it was a pretty fun watch.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'll let you know what I think afterwards, but I
Please.
actually like watching the younger, where it's a real, like, Gen Z or target because it kind of helps me see what's going on with that generation.
Well, I will say this for our listeners who are of my age, a little older maybe, or well, whomever. As the movie started, there was so much texting, conversation, and Instagram kind of
Uh,
conversation and dialogue. I was like, I out loud said, "Is this how movies are going to be?" And I was a little
yeah, because
annoyed.
then you have to actually watch, like, you can't just listen, but you're like, "You mean they're
Yeah.
watching the con" Yeah, I know, that bugs me too. I wonder if it is gonna be a
It
thing.
wasn't bad, but it just, I was like, I might be a little too old for it now. I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's move on to our interview. So we
Okay.
got to meet. So this is our second interview with Addition Financial Credit Union. The first was with
Hmm.
their CEO. So this is actually they're both named Kevin. So our first guest from Addition
Right.
was Kevin. This is Kevin number two we're talking to, and apparently we found out there's a Kevin number three on
I
this. So sweet.
know.
I know. So we might
I know.
have part three coming in the future.
Well, I asked if we could get all 3 at the same
Well, that
time
would be fun. Yeah.
to just make it confusing as hell.
Sure. We
I
could
would like it.
the 3 amigos. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, so in this one, this is Kevin Wright. He's the Chief Information Officer.
Mhm.
Talks a lot about how he got his start in technology and in credit unions. Talks about the credit union's recent digital transformation that they went
Oh,
through
yeah.
this summer with Lumen Digital. Also had a really interesting conversation about the credit union's current stance and level of activity with AI.
Yep.
I really liked what really resonated with me was, talked about how AI is going to enhance what the employees are doing, not
Yeah.
replace it. And he talks about the concept of intellectual capital. I like that.
Mhm.
That's something I think people can
I agree.
use when they're talking about AI because that can't be replaced, I
Right.
think. So, yeah, that was very fascinating. Also, get to know him a little more about kind of our usual conversations with our guests about their hometown and all that. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. We have all that coming up next.
Hey, listeners, I want to tell you about our exclusive editorial product for subscribers only called the Executive Briefing. If you haven't heard about it, here's what it is. It's a monthly newsletter available by subscription only and is comprised of exclusive editorial content, an analysis of credit union data, trends, and news, information that's not online because we haven't put it online. It's only available to subscribers, and I will stop saying that word now. You will get access to this content only in your inbox to help grow the organization, better serve your members. In September, for instance, we analyzed the AI tools used by credit unions. In October, we broke down the overdraft and NSFE landscape. And in November, we're talking election results. Oof, stay tuned for that. To subscribe, go to cutimes.com/subscribe. That's cutimes.com/subscribe. It's one of the new ways we're expanding our CU Times digital world for you. The Executive Briefing at cutimes.com/subscribe.
Joining us in the virtual studio today is Kevin Wright, Chief Information Officer for Addition Financial Credit Union in the Orlando, Florida area. Hey, Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So just to start off, I have to ask because I know we actually had to postpone this interview. It was supposed to be done a couple weeks ago, which is when, unfortunately, Hurricane Milton was heading towards Florida, and also Orlando was in the path. So just curious, how is everything? I know y'all closed branches in anticipation of that. Is everything intact with the branches? Are your employees okay?
Yep, everything with the credit union is good. Our employees fared well. The branches themselves fared well. We had 2 branches that it took us a little longer to get up and running. It wasn't due to damage of the branch, but as often happens in hurricane situations, we had some telecom failures. We were having to run off of backup connections for multiple of those branches, and we had a couple of branches that even the backups were down for a little while. We went out there with cellular, and we were able to get them back up within a day, so that was the advantage.
Okay, that's
Great.
good. I'm sure that kept you busy in your role on the tech side. So glad to hear it went well. Okay, well, let's dive into kind of our original program here we were planning on. So, can you start off by just telling us a little about your background in your career and what you currently do at Addition Financial?
Sure. So I started my career on the IT side after I was working as an engineer doing CAD work, and I was helping on the IT side early hours and after hours because it was just something that I enjoyed. And I kind of came to a crossroads where I needed to make a decision as to which way I wanted to go. And I felt like the IT side spoke to me more than the CAD side. So I switched over at that point. Worked for a couple of different companies on the IT side, and then eventually I started a consulting firm with a friend of mine, and we primarily focused on automotive and healthcare in the Detroit metro area. Had some city government and state government clients as well, but primarily automotive and healthcare. And then in 2007, I broke away from that company and came down to Florida because my new wife said that she was cold.
Great reason. Yeah.
And so that's when I was introduced to credit unions, and I instantly fell in love. A lot of people said that I probably wouldn't last because I was used to running a company. How could I go back to working for somebody? And I explained to them that while I was an owner in the company, every single client was a boss. So I was always working for people anyway. It's just I had a lot of bosses. So coming here was a whole lot easier. I also like to say if I knew then what I know now, my consulting firm would have been focused on credit unions because it's such an amazing industry to be in.
Exactly. Also, what is that rule? Happy wife, happy life? So
100%.
Yeah. Okay. So nice work. I want to talk about your tech fascination for a second, because we do find doing these interviews, it's kind of left brain, right brain of an analogy where tech people just have a different way of thinking. What was it about tech that just kind of drew you in? Like, was it as a kid, or was it like what you just were talking about, just a moment in time as you were growing up?
No, it was definitely as a kid. I mean, my dad was very much into technology. We were a Navy family. My dad he started out on nuclear subs and then moved to a sonarman, but he was always into technology. I still remember we started with a Tandy 1000 SX computer.
Yeah.
And my dad he was studying DBase, and he would read books on databases and how to do this. And it was all really around being able to inventory his baseball card collection and keep better track of things. And we were an early beta tester for 2 different online systems. One was Prodigy, and then another one is a small company that came out later that was called America Online.
Yeah.
And so I kind of got the bug there.
Can I tell you, I mean, very similarly, my dad, one day, he had the same computer, by the way. He checked out a DBase book from the library and handed it to me. I'm like 11, I think. Here, learn this. I'm like, no thanks. Never learned it. I looked at the book and I did not understand it. So that's really funny. I haven't heard DBase terms in a very long time. So thanks for that.
Yeah, we did a lot of that, and I did a lot of playing with electronics.
Hmm.
And so it all just kind of seemed to go hand in hand. A lot of bulletin board services online once I understood what a modem could do and how I could
Yeah,
reach out and talk to other people and gain information. It was an interesting time.
great.
All right. So, Kevin, Addition, it sounds like had a pretty big year on the tech side. With this summer, you guys completed a digital banking overhaul with Lumen Digital. I know it was kind of some big news of yours. Can you kind of tell us about that? What led to the decision to pursue this digital transformation? Like what wasn't working, I guess, with the existing digital banking platform? And then what was it about Lumen Digital that made it a good fit for you?
Sure. It's actually a longer story because we
Okay.
technically started this journey like 6 years ago, and we started
Wow.
looking at products then, and eventually we settled on a product that was called Backbase. And we
Right.
worked
Sure.
for a few years with Backbase, trying to get a build off the ground and going. Eventually, we kind of looked at it and decided jointly with Backbase to part ways. It wasn't turning out to be the solution that we needed for our members because we just weren't willing to make the kind of compromises that we would have needed to make. So that kind of put us back into the marketplace. And I had been looking at Lumen back when Lumen was first founded. I was actually on an advisory board for them
Mm.
when Jeff Chambers started putting the
Yeah.
company together, and when he was signing his first client and looking for his first client before that. And so at that time, I actually had come off that advisory board once we had made the Backbase decision because I told Jeff I didn't think it made sense for me to stay on a board if I was choosing a different product. It's
Hmm.
not that I didn't believe in where he was going, it was more of a timing issue. And so when we were back in the market, we looked at all the normal players. We looked at Q2, we looked at Alchemy, we looked at God, I think we looked at literally every credit union and digital banking solution out there. And I reached back out to Lumen and I just said, hey, it's been a couple of years. Let me know where you're at now. And so we went through and we did the demo. And when we did the demo, it really felt like the senior management team, when they saw it, they said, this is kind of a no-brainer. This is where they're doing a lot of the things that we had been designing with Backbase. It told a lot of the same story that we were trying to tell, but it was going to get us there a whole lot faster because in the background, I also had my developers looking at what if we just build this from scratch? What would that look like? And the reality was going to Lumen was going to allow us to get where we wanted to go anyway, but significantly faster. And
Hmm.
we already felt like we were behind because of the time we lost with Backbase.
Right. So you were talking about the time it took for this transformation. What were some of the key phases and steps of that process for you?
A big piece was sitting with business units and understanding, their needs and desires.
Hmm.
We also did surveys with members so that we could find out what key things that we were missing from our existing solution, what the members really wanted. We did some sessions where we had volunteer members and non members come in, and we had a one way glass where we could watch them actually use our app and
Okay.
try and see how they were using it. We gave them tasks so we could see the steps that they took,
Hmm.
so that from a navigation standpoint, we got more insight into how it was actually used and where people kind of got stuck so that we
Yeah.
were able to think about that thoughtfully when we were putting together the new solution.
Were there any really unexpected challenges you found?
I mean, there's always unexpected challenges when it,
Sure.
it comes to technology.
Like any big ones. Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't really anything that was major that stood out that we said, "Oh, this is a potential showstopper." I mean,
Yeah.
by the time we chosen Lumen, we honestly were in a really good spot and really knew what we wanted. So
Good.
we also made a choice that we were going to primarily go out of the box with Lumen
Hmm.
in order to help minimize any kind of issues and in order to do it in a faster pace than we might have done if we wanted to customize everything. And I
Right.
find that often if you try and customize too much right out of the get go without really understanding the product enough,
Hmm.
you might be coding yourself into a problem where there wasn't one to begin with.
Great point.
Mm.
Great
Okay.
point.
Okay. No, and I think that's really neat that you mentioned that you had members test it out in front of you. I've never heard of another credit union doing that, so that's really interesting. So, since the members had this, up close experience with it, can you talk about just some of the particular features of the end result, the end product that have really been like, let's say, a big hit with members that they really liked and that works really well now that things are changed?
To me, a super simple feature that members really love that they didn't have before was just simply if they had multiple accounts, they could see it all with one login now. I mean, before they had separate logins for each of those accounts, they had to go in and out. So just being able to see all of those relationships with a single login, and also be able to pull in relationships from other financial institutions that you can also see into that same interface makes it incredibly user friendly.
Yeah. So, what ways does this experience that you're going for provide the seamless tech experience members are looking for? You were mentioning one right there, but while not sacrificing the personal touch that your credit union wants to keep with your member service.
I mean, a key piece for us was we looked at how members were accessing our product, and overwhelmingly, mobile was the number one. But mobile is the thing that previously members had complained that our mobile product was missing some functionality that they wanted. And it wasn't that they named anything specific, it was more of an experience. And so it was important for us that this experience was a positive one. And I think the proof in that is when we went live to our members, how little our contact center was actually affected by member calls on how to navigate. And that's a combination of
Mm-hmm.
the communication that we were putting out between the PR team, the marketing team, and then internal teams. And we sent out videos and things for members to do the most common features, but also in the way that the product itself is designed to be
Yeah.
used. It's very self-explanatory. It's a very friendly navigation.
Very good.
Okay, well, so let's go ahead and just move on to a different topic here. We're going to talk about AI a little bit. We've had a few guests already on talking about it, and we have a few more booked who want to talk about it. So I think it deserves a continued
Yeah.
conversation. So I learned that Addition Financial recently partnered with Pete Learning, which is an AI startup, and that it's going to be used to integrate AI tools into your team member training, and that you're also the first financial institution to do so with this. So can you tell us a little about this? What does Pete Learning do, and how did Addition become connected with this company?
So I'm going to preface this with I am not the expert at Pete Learning because it's a brand new product that we are bringing on and then we're investigating right now. So it's primarily being used today down with our training department, with our industrial designer or instructional designer who's looking to upload our workbooks and procedures and policies into the platform so that the system itself can bring those in. Think in terms of like building a large language model
Mm-hmm.
so that would enable staff members, new and longer term, to be able to search out results faster.
Okay.
So especially when they have a member in front of them, it'll also include some things around coaching for leaders that will help them do self-paced training. The biggest selling point for us was essentially a faster track method of getting to a specialized large language model.
Mm-hmm.
Because whenever you're hiring new staff for credit union, and your highest turnover rates are always in front office and contact center types of roles. It's just those are typically the entry points into financial institutions. Yet those are also the people who unfortunately need to learn the most because there's so many regulations and
Yeah.
processes around doing these financial transactions. And so anything that we can do to help make it a better experience for our staff, which in turn makes it a better experience for our members, we're definitely interested in.
Can I expand on that? I know you said you're not a Pete Learning expert here, but can you talk about how Addition's employee training programs maybe look different with Pete's platform compared to how they looked before?
Unfortunately, I can't give you an in-depth description of that yet because we're not
Okay.
far enough along.
Yeah. All right. That's fair.
That's fair, yeah. Has the rest of the team learned about this, like across the credit union? And do they have any opinions on it or reactions that they've given so far, just knowing that it's coming?
People are excited by the idea behind it. Again,
Yeah.
we've shared high
Yeah.
level, that we're working on this. I mean, simultaneously we're also, working with Copilot and building a large language model internal chat app to do something similar as well. And we're kind
Mm-hmm.
of playing both types of solutions against each other. So, people are excited by some of the abilities that we are looking at and how we're trying to use them primarily not as a replacement tool, but as a service enhancement tool.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Well, and I wanted to ask just more generally about AI. You said you're also working on a chat feature. I guess overall at the credit union, what's your kind of philosophy on AI right now and how you're incorporating it into work? You mentioned enhancing, not replacing, which I'm sure that scares a lot of people. Like, is my job going to be replaced? Can you just kind of give us another overview of just AI in general and how you're looking at it right now?
So we take a very thoughtful approach. This is a test and play with and understand the kind of capabilities that are there. So, what kind of products are we using? Well, we're using Copilot. So we're testing that right now.
Yeah.
We're using it at more of a higher level management side to see what all the real test cases are, where the true value is on this, and pushing it down. My tech team is using it, like I mentioned. They are testing building large language models to be essentially like a self service help based tool to see where we can go with that. And again, it helps tech staff as well as front office staff in order to be able to do searches and find things faster. We are explicit in that the tools that we're looking for today, again, they are not tools to wholesale replace bodies. They are tools that will allow people to function more efficiently in their roles and allow them to use their skill set that is so much more valuable to us, which is that intellectual capital of their brain to be able to process the things that we need. I mean, we can't even build most of these AI tools without that. And then there's, in terms of what other tools might people use, like we have rules around, we don't allow anybody to put any kind of PII data to any of the AI tools that are web-based. So we haven't forbidden use of them. We've simply said you can't do anything with any kind of PII or proprietary credit union data. We don't want any of that kind of stuff out there. However, do I have some developers that are testing some of the coding functions within some of the different products using a corporate purchased version? Yes, we are testing that as well. And again, it's more of a speed tool and a tool that helps us look at code and try and make it more efficient. So oftentimes a programmer will write something. We can then say, hey, ChatGPT, can you take a look at this code? How would you enhance this? And we would look at how it enhances it, and we then measure the performance of the original code versus the enhanced code. We run it through all of our security testing and make sure that it looks good. And if it's definitely going to be more efficient, then that's something that we would use. So it's allowing us, my developers still writing code. It's just now they're able to become more efficient and we can do more testing than we would have done in a faster method.
Can I ask you very quickly, what do you think of Copilot?
So far, we really enjoy it. There's things that it's really good at, and the things that it's really good at are great. And then there's some things where it definitely struggles.
Okay.
And so we look at that and say, it's coming in the future. So that'll be great.
I love that you all get to test with this stuff. That I get excited about. That's where my nerd brain would love to play in all the time. I want to wrap around just one last question here, talking about your credit union fintech partnerships kind of in a general way. And you seem like a really good person to ask this question about what are some of the best practices that Addition follows when selecting a new fintech partner?
I'd say the biggest thing that we do is for me anyway, the first thing I do is assess what is the true need, right? What is the need that the credit union is trying to fulfill? Is this something this partner going to be able to fulfill that actual need, or is it fulfilling a small portion of it, or is it just a small piece that we need, but what we're buying is a much larger product? I'm always trying to right size. And when I say, is it what we need, I'm looking at it in the context of, here's our strategic plan, and here are the principles by which we operate. Does it fit within all of those things? And if the answer is yes, then okay, now we can continue going down the road. Then it's, how is this company's structure built? Is it a startup? Is it a company that's been established? Where are the funds coming from? Are they going to be going through various series of fundings? Or are they already along the road? Or even better, are they a QSO? Because we like to support QSOs here.
Of course.
So if we can get there, that's a preferred method.
Great.
And so we'll look at that. Then we look at their security models. Anytime that if it's going to be dealing with any kind of member information or any kind of PII, that's incredibly important. This is the spot where sometimes we would have a harder time being able to move forward with a vendor, especially if it's going to involve those kinds of things. Yeah. Some of the vendors where it doesn't really involve any of that, we have a little bit more freedom to be able to go through and test. Sometimes it's not about putting it into production at all. It's really about education, right? We're trying to learn ourselves how the system works so that we can then turn around and be able to look at the future as how we would go about something. Maybe we're building something in the background. How would we be able to build something that could interface with this not today, but 5 years from now, when they would have those things established.
Very good. Thanks for sharing
Great
that.
point. Yeah, I just say I love having these conversations about the journey of credit unions' relationships with fintechs and AI. And I was just thinking back, if we heard this podcast conversation like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, it would be like, whoa, what are you talking about? And it's funny to think about, well, what would this conversation sound like in five
Yeah,
years, 10 years? So it's neat to like be along for the journey.
agree.
Yeah. All right. Kevin, let's go ahead and move on to the second part of our interview. And this is the fun part because it is all about you. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, so first off, what is your hometown? I know you mentioned earlier that you moved to Florida from Michigan. Is that where you're originally from, Michigan?
When I was younger and we were in the Navy, we kind of lived all over, but I would claim Michigan as my primary. That's where I spent the most time.
Okay.
What town specifically?
Sterling Heights is what I would probably claim as
Oh, okay.
my hometown.
Great. All right. So you've been in Florida, you said, since the early aughts?
I moved to Florida in 2007.
Okay. Two-part question here. How many hurricanes have you been through now?
Ooh. Yeah, I mean,
A
I
handful
guess too
at
many.
least.
Too many would
Okay.
be the right answer.
Okay, so my real question here is, do you have a hurricane preparedness kit and what's in it?
Technically, yes. I don't necessarily call it a hurricane preparedness kit.
Okay.
We just call it the supplies. So I have batteries. I have a large battery unit that I keep charged.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it like a electronic generator. It's
Yep.
just a big battery. So I have that. I have a generator itself. I always keep extra pellets for my pellet grill so I can smoke all the foods if the freezer goes out.
Yeah.
And we have a block party.
That's fun.
I always have a couple of cases of water once summer hits.
Sure.
We make sure that we bring in those cases of water.
Okay.
I have coolers,
Yep.
lots of plastic bags,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it, really. I mean, obviously we stock up with food and whatever when it comes around. I've just been incredibly blessed and lucky that in the particular neighborhood that I live in, I am well placed in that most of the land around me is sand
Mhm.
underneath, so it drains efficiently. I'm on a higher point. I have a retention behind me that's extra deep and just turns into lakefront property instead of flood property. The power lines in my neighborhood are buried, and
Yeah.
so I typically don't even really lose power very often.
That's good.
great.
I'm very lucky.
Wow.
There are a lot of people, employees here, and just people around Florida who have not been anywhere near as lucky, and I feel for
Right.
every one of them.
Okay.
Right. We were just in one hurricane growing up in Florida in the late part of the 70s. Our parents just freaked the hell out when the hurricane was coming, and we just drove to Georgia. That was it. That was our emergency kit.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
And then we came back.
Well, I was just going to say, because Kevin sounds so relaxed about the whole
I
thing.
know.
No, it's like just another day. But then, yeah, it sounds like you're set up in a very lucky way where it doesn't
love it.
affect you too much anyway. So that's very nice. Okay, so this next question is kind of a weird one with timing because right now, as we're recording this, Halloween is going to be happening next week. I know this episode might come out after Halloween. We're not sure. But with Halloween right around the corner currently, are you dressing up as anything this year? And if not, can you describe any other previous Halloween costumes you've done from your past that were memorable?
Our admin typically tells us what we have to wear each
okay.
year because it gets coordinated with the third floor.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't know what the final decision is because I think they made that while I was on vacation last week, but I'm sure she's going to tell me. And so I will participate with that in whichever way I must. The most memorable was probably as a kid. My dad loved Halloween. He really liked to go all out. I started off the evening as a mummy and that he literally rapped. But about an hour into it, it was all starting to fall apart.
Mhm.
And so he quickly took me home and then glued fur all over, and I became a wolf man.
Oh, clever. Yeah.
Wait a second.
The advantage was I was able to go to the same houses again because
Oh,
they
that's
didn't
a
see that outfit. So
great point.
I think I got more candy that year than ever.
Yeah.
Nice. We got twice as much candy then. Yeah.
Where did he get all the fur?
I don't even know. He might have torn apart stuffed animals. I know I had fur on me for a while though. I'm not sure that we used the right glue.
I love this. Oh my gosh, that is wonderful.
Great story.
Let's see. Okay, Kevin, back to your childhood again, or growing up teenager years. What was the first album you ever bought or remember listening to?
The first album I ever bought, I actually do remember because my half brother had come over for a visit
Hmm.
and he wanted my dad to buy him an album. And I, because I thought my brother was the coolest person ever,
Sure.
I wanted the same album. And it was Twisted Sister Stay Hungry.
Yeah. What an album cover, too.
Yeah, I don't think my dad let me keep that album.
Oh. Oh, no. Did he
Well,
glue it on your next year's Halloween costume?
I
What?
mean, I think there was a whole controversy back then on
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
MTV video, and I think when he heard that, he decided that that wasn't really a great idea for me. But
That was the album with We're Not Gonna Take It, right?
yes, mm-hmm.
Huh.
All right, a little
Right.
rebellious streak there.
Yeah.
Well, I don't agree with your dad's choice there, but
Well,
good call.
yeah.
That was fun. Okay, final question here today. What was the last movie you watched?
I seem to be watching series more than movies these
Okay.
days.
Yeah, yeah.
But let's see. The last movie was probably part 2 of Rebel Moon.
Oh, what'd you think?
I like it. I mean, I liked the first one. I mean, it's not
Mhm.
the greatest sci-fi series that I've seen, but
Yeah,
it's enjoyable.
good. That's a good choice.
And what's the series, like what's the most recent series that you've been into?
Weirdly, we started watching the reboot of Dexter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
And what do you think of that? I wasn't a fan.
I liked the original Dexter, although I didn't actually watch all the way through the finale. The last season we watched, I don't know, a couple years ago, just because it had gone in a direction that I didn't really care for.
Correct.
So this has been okay.
Yeah.
I'm not completely finished with it yet. I think I'm at episode 7. I feel like they're trying too hard.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then I think I read that this is going to be the only season for it, so that doesn't really surprise me.
And I will suggest there is no reason to watch the series finale of Dexter on the first go round. Skip it.
Yeah.
It is awful. The rest of the show's great.
Yeah, I watched but I didn't make it through the whole first season for some reason. I don't know, just lost interest after a while. But it's really hard to find a really good series, and sometimes I'll see this like just really good one, and then it's over, and you're like, oh, how am I going to find another one to match that? So yeah, it's rare. I find that it's like rare these days.
Love Dexter.
So anyway, all right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up here. Kevin Wright, Chief Information Officer for Addition Financial Credit Union. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was a lot of fun.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. And for all of our listeners, please subscribe to Shared Accounts with CU Times anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, wherever. You know how this works. And if you want to rate us, we'd love your feedback. And for those of you with questions or comments, feel free to email me over at nchillingarian@cutimes.com, or you can email Michael at mogden@cutimes.com.
Absolutely. A big thank you to our producer, Zach Nyheisel. Thanks, Zach. Join us again next week for a new episode of Shared Accounts with CU Times. Until then, thanks for listening.